This is macOS Ken.
Two pieces of sort of new hardware, a big round of OS updates on the way, and Tim Cook takes a quiet trip to China. Shh. It is Wednesday, the 18th of October, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Save 40% on any new system with a Fast Protect plan at simplisafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. One new hardware rumor totally panned out for the Appleverse Tuesday, while another turned out to be partially true, minimally true, a tiny bit true. As had been rumored, Apple did hit with a third-generation Apple Pencil yesterday, officially designated Apple Pencil USB-C. TechCrunch says the new stylus features a lower price and fewer features, but it is supported by USB-C. This one doesn't replace the second-generation Apple Pencil. That is still out there with its $129 price tag. According to the report, the new device still features a flat side which can magnetically connect to an iPad, but doing so only puts the pencil to sleep and does not charge it. This version features the same precision and low latency found in the original and second generation. It also supports tilt sensitivity, allowing the user to change the width of the on-screen brush by changing the angle of the pencil. What's missing, according to TechCrunch, are pressure sensitivity and the ability to double tap on the side of the pencil to change tools. But did I mention USB-C? To go along with that, the piece says Apple also announced a $9 USB-C to Apple Pencil adapter to give the original Pencil a USB-C recharging option. Now, I said the third-generation Apple Pencil does not replace the second-generation model. Funny story, doesn't replace the first generation either. Hats off to 9 to 5 Mac's Zach Hall for the headline of the day. The Apple Pencil lineup is finally as confusing as the iPad lineup. Apple Pencil USB-C will run buyers $79. Apple's press release on the device says it will be available in early November. As for the kind of sort of true new hardware rumor, a piece from Mac Rumor says Apple did introduce a minimally new iPad on Tuesday. The Cupertino company announced an update to the cellular version of the 10th generation iPad. Specifically for China, the technically new tablet brings eSIM support to the Middle Kingdom. Pre-orders start on Thursday, the 19th of October. Deliveries and in-store availability are set for 1 week from today, Wednesday, the 25th. Coming soon to your iThings and Apple Things, updates to operating systems. Mac Rumors ran a few pieces Tuesday announcing the arrival of release candidates for iOS and iPadOS 17.1, macOS Sonoma 14.1, watchOS 10.1, and tvOS 17.1. Those were made available to both developers and public testers, making a public release seem imminent. News of a few fixes in store for iOS 17.1. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says the update addresses concerns some have had with the on-screen keyboard. Since the first beta of iOS 17, the piece says, there have been a number of users complaining how the keyboard becomes unresponsive after the update. That was mostly true for older iPhones, though 9 to 5 Mac says some users of iPhone 15 had similar issues. Now, the piece says release notes for iOS 17.1 acknowledge this problem and say that the bug has been fixed with the update. Over the past few days, reports have started to surface of display image persistence or burn-in on some models of iPhone. Opposite the keyboard issues, most of these reports centered on phones in the 15 line, though users of the 12 Pro and 13 Pro said they were seeing the lingering images as well. While some were concerned that the burn-in was hardware-related, that is apparently not the case. Another piece from Mac Rumors has Apple indicating that the iOS 17.1 update will address the display image persistence issue. And of course, iOS 17.1 will free France of its pesky specific absorption rate radio wave issue. Hang on, mes amis. Help is on the way. While the various notes on the release notes do not mention them, there are practically bound to be bug fixes and security issues addressed in the aforementioned updates. That's based partly on history and partly on the other release candidates seeded on Tuesday. A couple of pieces from Apple Insider hipped readers to release candidates for iOS and iPadOS 16.7.2, as well as macOS Monterey 12.7.1 and macOS Ventura 13.6.1. With no new features planned for older operating systems, the site expects the updates to address compatibility issues with new software releases, security improvements, and bug fixes. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Simply Safe, the right way to protect your home. Does it feel to you like the year is almost over? We go from the slow roll into autumn to all of a sudden holiday, and before you know it, Happy New Year. Before things get as hectic as they are going to, guard your home with Simply Safe Home Security and their great 40% off offer. I don't want to scare you about being away in the holidays and people breaking in and all that stuff. I don't lock my door because I think somebody is going to break in. I lock it because it just makes sense. If guarding your home against mishaps or the occasional ne'er-do-well makes sense to you, then this is a deal you need to hear about. Simply Safe is comprehensive protection for the whole home, with advanced sensors that detect break-ins, fires, floods, and more, plus HD cameras for both inside and out. It's powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day, half the cost of traditional home security. And it really is simple. I had my system up and running on my own in well under an hour. Satisfaction is backed by Simply Safe's money-back guarantee. Try Simply Safe for 60 days risk-free. If you don't love it, return your system for a full refund. For a limited time, save 40% on any new system with a Fast Protect plan. Visit simplysafe.com/macOSken. simplysafe.com/macOSken. SIMPLI. That's simplysafe.com/macOSken. There's no safe like Simply Safe. I said yesterday that we would go deeper on the note posted Monday by Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring. That was the one that CNBC used to support its story on weak demand for iPhone 15, despite Woodring saying in the note that he sees any problem Apple is having with iPhone right now as an issue with the supply chain, not worsening demand. His note covered a lot more than iPhone, as noted by Apple Insider. Hitting the note again, iPad is not looking great, with the firm assuming iPad revenue continues to decline double digits this year versus last. On the Mac, the company says it is raising its September quarter Mac revenue forecast by 7% to account for better than expected shipments. Both the Mac and wearables are expected to return to growth by Woodring and crew, though that's not as much about a notable inflection in consumer demand as it is a materially easier year-on-year comparison. While services growth will slow, it'll still be growth. Similar to Macs and wearables, this is not as much about a shift in demand as it is about the calendar. Quoting the note, Apple benefited from a 14-week quarter in December 2022 versus a normal 13-week quarter, with the App Store one of the key beneficiaries of this dynamic. Thus, services faces a very challenging December 23 compare. And yet, the note goes on to say, we are encouraged by the acceleration of the services business in the September quarter and believe that services can continue to grow at a low to mid-teens % year on year into fiscal year 24. Morgan Stanley has an overweight rating on Apple shares. The firm used Monday's note to lower its price target on the shares from $215 to $210. Travelin' Tim's been traveling again. A piece from the South China Morning Post says Apple CEO Tim Cook turned up in China last week, referring to the trip as a low-key visit. Seems little is known about what he was up to. Speaking at an Apple store in Chengdu, the piece says Cook told reporters that he was excited about the work Chinese-based developers have done on apps for the company's Vision Pro mixed reality headset. That is according to a report on Tuesday by state media China Daily. He's also said to have put in an appearance at a Tencent video gaming tournament for Honor of Kings, a big game for the App Store and a marquee title for Tencent. The report says the rest of Cook's itinerary for this trip to China is unknown. Apple did not reply to the South China Morning Post request for comment. Speaking of Vision Pro, as Tim Cook apparently did in China last week, a piece from Mac Rumors says Apple is opening more developer labs for its mixed reality headset. On Tuesday, the company announced new labs for Sydney in Australia and New York in New York. They joined labs in Cupertino, London, Munich, Shanghai, Singapore, and Tokyo. At the Vision Pro Developer Labs, Mac Rumors says developers are provided with hands-on time with the Vision Pro headset, as well as help from Apple engineers. The labs provide opportunities for testing and optimization for Vision OS apps. More info on the labs is available on Apple's developer site. And finally today, a first look pick for an Apple TV Plus title that is as sparkly as the sparkliest of holidays. The company issued a press release for a first look photo for the upcoming special, Hannah Waddingham, Home for Christmas. According to the release, in the musical event, Emmy-winning star Hannah Waddingham will ring in the holidays as she welcomes special guests for a musical extravaganza at the London Coliseum. Because nothing says home for the holiday. I make fun, but it really is a sparkly picture. Waddingham's rocking a gold sequin number, standing in front of a green tree covered in red baubles and twinkly lights. The tree is covered in that, yeah. Recorded before a live audience, the show will debut globally on Wednesday, the 22nd of November. No word on who the guests will be, nor on what songs will be sung. Personally, I hope she does Christmas is All Around. That song doesn't get nearly enough play. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Simply Safe. Save 40% on any new system with a Fast Protect plan at simplysafe.com/macOSCan. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.